Hello all, welcome to another Table Talk with Marist Free. Today, May 19, 2021. My name is Marist Free, and I really appreciate that you're able to watch this video, and hopefully you can watch it until the end to have enough information that could enable us to sit back and judge right of peace during the storm back to peace that have no storm. Let us judge to edify and not to condemn, knowing that we are all working hand in hand, seeking this of us that is a stable ground, the stable ground of the battlefield of the mind. We are trying to be still the storm of the battlefield of the mind. The mind, the true us, the spirit, us. Character, one character, us. Now in a disruption, trying to find itself again of peace that have no storm. Has been a journey, but today we are trying to enable this journey to be of least complication. The least complication to the even zero possible is what we seek. And where we get to zero of storm, then will be our end goal to maintain. Knowing how to get to this peace that have no storm, will we be able to maintain. But we must have the end goal in our hands while we travel, so we know what it's like when we get there. We must have a picture of it to keep on evaluating, comparing to the picture until we get there. And this is the picture we enable of us. Peace, stilling the storm, back to peace that have no storm. Our last topic was on the completion of, our last topic was on character. There is only one character. There is only one character was our last topic. And before that, we had body, mind, and soul, trying to understand the person who we are. And then we got to, before that, we had spirituality. So what we've been trying to do is to understand our being, why we are, and why are we in this disruption? Why? Where did we come from to get to this place of a struggle of the mind? We are, that we need to reflect to understand who we are, for we are not the shadow, but the being. We are not the image in the mirror is us, but that's not that's our reflection, and we are the being. I'm not able to see myself, but if I look into the mirror, I can see me. Does not make the mirror image me standing out, but my reflection, and still me, but partially me. Cannot really perform without me doing the performance. And what I perform should be of peace that have no storm, so that my image can reflect what I will to see, that I desire to see. Now, if this image is reflecting me of not what I desire, I don't feel comfortable about it, so I'll be working in order to fix this. And that's peace still in the storm, back to peace that have no storm, of enabling myself to look right by me fixing my clothing, or maybe combing my hair, or maybe trying to take off maybe a marker on my face to look the way I want to look like. Like Sir Michael Jackson would say, I'm talking to the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. The man in the mirror is you. The one in the mirror is your reflection. And when you're talking to the one in the mirror, it's like talking back to your mind. Who is that in the mirror? Is it you or another? It's you because you have some parts of your body that you can put on the mirror and it reflects you. Sometimes it gets to a place where it can't even reflect you anymore, of the disruption of the mind has become a complication, that you don't see the face that is your face anymore. You begin to wonder why. Have you been so long in the solid state? The eyes begin to become more complicated, having cracks and having different um, um, different but different like lines on the eyes, and not looking smooth like it was, showing the state of complication. And now, do you stay like that forever, but have realized that we all part from this physical world back to the liquid state and then to the gaseous state? But what was our purpose first being in the solid state, which is of reorientation, of finding who we are, of knowing who we are? That if we have not been able to know who we are in the gaseous state, we keep on coming down then to the liquid state and then to the solid state, and then there we realize first that, hey, down here is complicated, does not really look like us. This is why Earth has gravity, but above doesn't have gravity. Okay, now we begin to realize that, okay, why is below different from above, and that this is not the true us. So we have to return back to our origin. And return back to our origin. How do we return back without a stable mind? The reason that what brought us down here first is the matter of orientation, of knowing who we are. That if we have to be going back, we don't want to come back. If we are not stable down here, we do not want to come back down here. So we must first of all be able to grasp the reason why we got here in the first place. It's not a stable ground, but we have to be able to grasp so that we don't return back. Because the second time returning back is going to be like a double fall. And then the third fall, it's an increase of the falls. We should be able to heal with one fall. And that is once bitten, twice shy, we say. Let us sit and reflect that we are the mind. We have an image. Why do we have this shadow? The flesh like a shadow. The flesh is not shadow, but like a shadow that the flesh is able to see on the wall. Is what the flesh that we have is to the mind. Do we need a shadow to tell us who we are? We should be able to know who we are. Is what we are looking for. Now, of the shadow we have having so many complications, meaning that we haven't even gotten to the place to understand yet who we are. Are we even seeking? Now that we are beginning to understand that we are the shadow that we see, instead of the being that we are. We are the ones making the actions, and then blaming the shadow of its response. It's time for us to begin to reflect back. Why are we blaming the shadow instead of looking back at the true us, the mind, to see why we are making actions that the mind does not desire. We want to comb, we want to look combed, want to look all right, want to look expected, of dignity and royalty, and not dirty. We want to clean up. I hope you understand where I'm going to concerning this, knowing that not knowing ourselves is weakness. I said in the last video that our next topic is going to be on power. And this is what we are trying to get to understand why we are now navigating from knowing about one character that we are. Now talking about power is to understand that where we are is weakness, different from above. That the solid state is weakness and the gaseous state is power. Okay, is power greater. Okay, that when you're descending, the power becomes lesser, and then we will become more weaker, showing how much limited we are to know ourselves. Right? of some that have reached this state have chosen to return back to the liquid state of understanding that the state where they are is not responding with the true self where they come from, the geisha state. But even though not reorientated of who they are now looking to be in the liquid state, are now making a more complication of themselves because they've been in a solid state, and then getting to a liquid state is like new again to them. And with the disorientation, there's a struggle. There's a struggle of connecting because they don't get to know what is the problem. They don't get to know what is the problem and making more of a problem without even knowing that when they get to the geisha state, it becomes even worse. Now to look at the right side, the side that is still orientated and feeling shy of who they are, seeking now to return, and then they gain low self-esteem, and it's like returning back. Of those being able to stand in the geisha state, looking disorientated, without wanting to return back, begin to gain arrogant pride. And the arrogant pride, a struggle of those that are beneath them of a disorientation, facing a difficult time with them. I hope you're understanding what I'm saying, what I'm really trying to bring out of the physical that we've had. All this is all coming through with the knowledge that I've acquired from my childhood to now, and of school, what I've learned from school, with all the subjects and courses that I've taken, and my 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 oh Lord, and my program of studies, the little practicums that I've had, and even of surrounding and neighbors and relatives. In short, even of the earth itself, the experience that I've had of being a human being, of being in the solid state, is what I'm trying to enable us to understand where I'm coming from. Okay, and even of our ancestors, of looking at the ancestors of all religions. Okay, have come to understand that, hey, we need to return back, but of sound mind, because at the end at the end of it all, those of yesterday are also still alive. Even if we think we are atheists, we know that we have ancestors that were here and have left us with some informations that are still like them being here. Okay, we are just gathering from it and making our new selves. Of those who don't believe in afterlife, know that the mind that they leave behind is still an afterlife of them that we're able to work with, like they are still here. Okay, like if my grandfather was one, okay, was one who always make sure that I clean up. When I'm trying to clean up, I remember him, and that's him still part of being, and he's still here. So that's how I look at it. Of whoever believes not in the afterlife. Okay, so how you keep those enabling that enabled of themselves while when they were here is them being here. If you do not believe in afterlife or in souls or appearance of or spirituality or ghost and all that, right? If you want to just maintain just a simplicity, so you travel this world safely, seeking for peace that have no storm, you could relate with them knowing that they are here of all the ideas that they enable, that you are using, and this is how they, when you are able to get to touch, maybe she made a handkerchief or maybe she made a basket, and when you touch that basket, it brings her back to you, and that's the mind of making that basket. It brings that back to you. Like my grandfather would always make baskets, is how I remember him sometimes. Okay, that's the mind that he had, and so that's how I remember him. But now, what am I trying to say? That of the mind, we try to, whatever was made of them, of action that was complicated, we try to make lessons out of them, and enable their time that they were here to look of better, is how we enable of an advancement of them for those who don't believe in afterlife. Okay, and the actions that they did that were worthy, that we're worthy to keep and educate others about, is what we count blessings and keep living with, and that is still a possibility of keeping them with us, of the mind, right? By enabling lessons of the mistakes, and then it becomes blessings, and then this is how we live of a blessed advancement of a better of us. All right, this is how we edify our ancestors, and this is how we make them worthy, and it gives us a good mind, and we build, and whatever we are leaving behind builds, and those that are younger than us grasp from this and make a better of them. So we are looking for a better of us, peace that have no storm. For those who don't believe in afterlife, for those who believe in afterlife, we know that we're going to see them again, but seeing them again should be of a better, knowing that they, wherever they are also working. And like a father, like a teacher who is not a president, being able to make a president makes them proud. That's how we're gonna, if we have to go before them looking better, we'll make them proud, knowing that they raised one, they made one who comes out with wisdom, with smartness, because they made one. Okay, this is how we have to try to get to this place of peace that have no storm. Please journey with me. I'll appreciate your comments. Add on to the material that we have so that we can really peace still the storm. Okay, now talking about power, you cannot talk about power without talking about weaknesses. That I've realized that when it comes to talk about power, we know power is always taking over in our physical state. We know power is always about taking over. Why? Because being in a solid state, we realize that others above us. There's a liquid state above us and a gaseous state. So they are above us. So all we know about it, all what we know about is taking over, trying to take over. And so down here, we're only trying to take over each other. That's why we have a struggle of trying to always take over another until we get to a sound mind to know why we are here. Then we begin to travel of peace, telling the storm back to peace that have no storm. Before I continue, I did do some research after understanding this of my experience and what and peace turning the storm back to peace that has no storm, the mindset that we're supposed to have of this battlefield of the mind. I did read from I did a research on Google and to understand what power, what a common ground of what we understand power is, because it's always good to relate with everyone around us. Okay, our information should enable us all to be able to relate somehow, and then be able to work together. So I learned from Oxford language. It defines power to be the ability, okay, which to me is like strength, right? The ability to do something or act in a particular way, especially like a faculty or quality, okay? To act in a special way, like of a faculty or quality. It also says power of speech, which is quality, right? Power of speech is quality, right? The ability to do something or act in a particular way, especially like a faculty or a quality. So when we talk of power of speech, we're talking about quality. Your quality of speech is power of speech, right? And then number two, influencing a behavior is also power, and that's the ability to be able to do that. To be able to influence someone to do something is power, influencing, right? You have quality, you have the ability, right? And then number three, move in great speed or force. That's strength, right? You have the strength to move. That's energy. When it says you move in a great speed or force, that's energy, and that's strength, and that's power. To have the power to move. Okay. Another will be like kinetic energy, right? And then number 4, you have supply mechanical or electrical energy is igniting, and to ignite is power. It's able to move, right? You ignite is able to move, and that's power, right? So all these are the ways that we have explained power of our being in the physical state. So also of faculty by building power of law, like also of faculty. This is like what I understood of Oxford language, like also of faculty, because I've explained of why it says it is ability to do something or act in a particular way, right? The ability to do something. I've given examples of like power of influencing a behavior or moving its ability, right? And then to do something to move in a particular way, to act in a particular way, right? Like power of speech is acting, which is quality, right? Act in a particular way, move in a great speed or force, right? Is strength that you move in a great in a great speed, and that's strength, that's power to move, right? And then of a faculty, especially like of a faculty, we have among like law. To my understanding, this is how I understand of this explanation. Okay, faculties. We have faculties that we enable of grouping of building. We build a faculty, and that's a group of people come together. That's power. Okay, like you have law, you have politics, you have military, you have religion, and then physics also say time rate of doing work measured in watts, right? The time rate of doing work is power, right? The time that you take to do work, how much the faster you finish it is power, the lesser you finish it is weakness, right? So all this that have enabled explanation is to enable us to still get to the place of understanding who we are, of peace that should have no storm, that we are able to have no storm when the earliest we can shows that we have power, and that's the power of authority, right? We all are authority. We're supposed to be in the gaseous state, and to understand that power should be of gaseous state, right? Power is the gaseous state. So the lower we get, we become weakness. We lose power, right? And that's becoming to an I state. And then we're seeking to return back to power because we know we are power and we are authority. That's why we keep on trying to overtake each other. And that's like the electrons igniting on each other and causing like heat. So the solid state is like in a heat state, and it becomes liquid because of the so much afflicting of each other. They become back liquid, and they go back to the gaseous state where they belong. So some explanations of some things that we've been able to enable has really helped us to grasp why we are in a place of a fall. We don't only need religion, we don't only need spirituality, even science or culture of itself. It's a faculty that is able to enable us to come to an understanding of the mind. Okay, no one is left behind. It could be a complicated route of the process of which they take to do it is more stressful, because when you're only studying, you you work the brain, that you need that place of tranquility, which would be the spirituality and your spiritual side of how you could sit back, right? That may be the difficult side of science, right? You need to have a place where you really get to have this therapeutic way of getting your mind to a settled ground, to a place of better, that you can be able to work, right? So this is why now you need spirituality to come into science, okay? And then religion now becomes now a topic. So, but sometimes religion and culture are all the same, right? It's just that religion is more of like trying to make a self of seeking after a higher being, and then culture is more of like just us looking up to those that are like us that we know. We don't want to relate with any god. That will be more of like culture. So religion is in culture, right? So all these are all under power. So all we're seeking, looking into in all of this is power. We're looking for power, which is authority. And how we look for this power should be of knowing ourselves. That if you don't know yourself and looking for this power, it becomes a struggle of you with more of a low self-esteem, and then trying after a long time of being a low self-esteem, you get so upset, and then you skyrocket like arrogant pride over another with so much temper, and then overtake them, okay, and then of them now um, scared of your rage, they now become of low self-esteem, and then with time they feel the pain, the pressure of being pushed down. They want to take over you, and this is all we are struggle in the physical is only on heat, igniting each other on heat of like pressure on pressure. Low self-esteem seeking to become arrogant pride instead of the humble pride. To become humble pride is like weakness to the solid state that where we belong, the humans, the physical, right? The shadow of which of the higher state above, the greatest of above is peace that have no storm, and that's power. But in the I state, we've mistaken that. We are instead upside, we are instead opposite of the truth because we don't know ourselves. We're still trying to find ourselves. So being in the solid state, looking disorientated of our true being we're supposed to be, of peace that have no storm, we all we know is trying to take over another, but of which our true state is being with another, right? Which is peace that have no storm of humble pride. But now, have not knowing ourselves to come to a place of ice, we are now in a, under others. Who put us there? We got down here because we didn't know ourselves. So we are trying to return back, right? We're trying to return back. This is what it's like, okay? Of even being pushed down, some being pushed down by others in the liquid state, being pushed down. Why? Because they are also disorientated also in the liquid state, struggling with arrogant pride and low self-esteem. Some of arrogant pride in the liquid state are pushing some down to be solid state because of low self-esteem. And after a while, those of the solid state in low self-esteem, after struggling with some down there of low self-esteem and arrogant pride, they push themselves up back to the liquid state, and then to become of the liquid state, okay, to become of a liquid state, and now in a struggle because they're they're getting to know that there's also a storm in the liquid state. Okay, now you have to know who you are, that you belong to the humble pride. Okay, even of those that are putting pressure on you in the liquid state, you don't want to go back down. You begin to have arrogant pride, and then you begin to act on them instead of trying to hold on to those of humble pride. All I'm trying to say is we have to realize in this solid state that humble pride is power and not weakness. Instead, low self-esteem and arrogant pride is the weakness, okay, that we need to realize and try to really seek the mind to maintain itself of the struggle that we have of peace in the storm of the mind. Okay, that when someone is trying to have arrogant pride over you and you know who you are, you will not become of low self esteem, but will know your focus is going back to the origin where you belong, of peace that have no storm. That even when you get to the gaseous state, okay, the highest of the gaseous state is peace that have no storm. Okay, of every state that is gaseous state to that particular to that main state has some liquid and gas. Okay, less when the higher you go, the lesser the liquid. The higher you go, the lesser the liquid state, and which is the storm. I mean, that means you're getting to know who you are. That when you get down to know who you are, you become peace that have no storm and the true gaseous state. Okay, and there you have no one igniting on you. You are peaceful, you are an individual, you have self, and each other respecting each other of humble pride. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say about power. Okay, that will be when we are down here making power to look like we have to have someone that is controlling others. okay, should be of controlling them, of peace, turning the storm back to peace that have no storm. That sometimes when they become so chaotic and so troublesome, you have to hold them down, right? You have to hold them down in maybe in a small room to enable them to reorientate themselves of who they are, of peace, that is peace during the storm back to peace that have no storm. And when they're able to get to grasp that a little, when they step out again, oh boy, they meet someone else again that have some arrogant pride over them, and then they want to take over, and then pressure, because all what, even when they have the peace on one corner, those above that are disorientated in the liquid state, that are of low self-esteem and arrogant pride, are pressing on them, and that pressing on them gets them to have arrogant pride, and the arrogant pride not being able to overcome those above, turning onto another who is below with them in the solid state, and then it becomes another chaos again. And this is our struggle, right? Some go to the liquid state being so arrogant, and they cannot become of humble pride because they can't take, they can't take the to humble themselves in front of one that is troubling them, and then it's another chaos. Instead of looking above, you have to be looking above. Above is where we are going. Of our end goal is peace that have no storm. Now, when you begin to focus looking above and not at the arrogant pride and low self esteem, you begin to find yourself drifting onto the side of humble pride. And that's the power. And then when you get there, that's when you begin to realize that, hey, why was I even having a low self esteem and arrogant pride? And your focus should only be up, knowing that those that are also disorientated, that are also those of low self esteem and arrogant pride, who are also in the gaseous state. Okay, and that's tougher, right? Tougher on the solid state, better on the liquid state. But and when you're going there, it's a new state. So you have to be very careful, because not knowing your state, you may fall in their hands, and you still have another struggle there, which is even more pressure, because the highest power is above. Okay, and that's where also we have the highest problem. That if you're of humble pride and know where you're going, of knowing who you are, you will not have a trouble with those. Instead, you will be their healing, and they will respect you. Or trying to be arrogant pride to you, and you standing your humble ground, will make them realize that, hey, they're lacking something. And it's like you found yourself, and you instead be their medical doctor, or you will be their worthy demonstrator to be able to look up to. Okay, and now I did make this I still try to continue with the same diagram that I was working on the last video on sodium. For some reason, sodium is all I'm trying to talk about. It's like I don't know how sodium came into my mind, and that really worked for me, and it's really doing well, knowing that with the three shells can be able to really tell with a demonstration of what I'm saying. If you do not really believe with what I'm saying, maybe this demonstration on the picture could help you relate a little bit of what I'm saying. Now, if you look at this is a new picture that I made of trying to explain what it is like. Okay, of the top one is you see I say most free is more power. Okay, that's the gaseous state, and that's the most inner that's the most inner shell. Okay, of the atom, sodium. It has two electrons, and two electrons is what is supposed to be of this shell. All shells all atoms are supposed to have an inner shell of two electrons. That's the law of two electrons on the outermost on the shell of the innermost. Okay. Then of every other shell out among of the innermost shell are supposed to be of 8 electrons on the outer. Well, the transitions could be a little bit different, and that's another topic. You know what I mean? Because transition always represents those in the liquid state, those in the middle are always a little bit, it's a struggle to understand them. But because of the solid state, you do not really understand them. So, but if you begin to understand, that's why they call them transition, because they're transition into the gaseous state. I don't want to complicate us today so much. Chemistry is like my go for. So, if you understand this that I said of the last video on one character, you see that sodium has 11 protons. Okay, the atomic number is 11. So it's supposed to have 11 protons and 11 electrons. But having 11 electrons is like the negative, it's like the struggling side of us, the I don't know who I am side of us, right? So we're trying to get back to know who we are, of peace stealing the storm. So of the 11 electrons now being on the outermost shell, we see that the intermediate shell has 8 electrons, and 8 electrons is a completion of a shell. After the two electrons of the innermost, every other shell coming after should have 8 electrons on the outermost shell to be complete. Okay, the most inner shell has 2 electrons to be complete, but the rest other shells should have 8 electrons to be complete. And this is according to the periodic table, the first 20 elements. Okay, I'm not trying to put in the transition. Okay, so now if you see that sodium has 11 electrons, the first shell has 2. Okay, I made it like a bow tie. I put them together, of the shell, of I made it like a bow tie. You're supposed to be connected to be of one, right? The mind on the other side. We have two, like we say of the brain, there's 2 sides, right? Say the one side has a little bit of a problem. We're trying to heal. So peacefully in the storm, the side of us that is whole is the one that is questioning, right? Of why we're not complete. What is there a blank on the mirror? We're trying to enable it to get back right. So we're trying to heal. So correcting the other side of us, the disorientated side of us, right? So that we need to become whole, right? Complete. So of the 2 electrons on the innermost shell is complete. And then now of the intermediate is 8 electrons. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? 8 electrons. The bow tie, the 2 sides tells us of it being 2. Okay. So this is 8 of the intermediate, which shows stability. But we know that sodium is supposed to have 11 electrons. So having 2 here and 8 here is 10 electrons, right? And so 10 electrons and 11 protons does not add up, because sodium is supposed to have 11 proton and 11 electron. So it makes even the liquid state not stable. So of the last shell that's supposed to be outside is of lesser energy, right? Of lesser power, is not free. Like the liquid state is free, and freer, and the solid and the gaseous state even most free, right? So now the outermost shell has lost the electron, right? Because it's not stable. One electron cannot stand alone. You cannot have a bow tie without the other side, right? You must have it together. You must have the 2 sides. So with only one side, you can't have it. So it's the most unstable state is the solid state. Okay, so if you understand the diagram a little bit, maybe you may understand our struggle being humans and trying to become of a soul. Okay, like the soul, flesh, and this, and like if you take a look really well, you see that I wrote that we have a body, a soul body, and a flesh body, right? So the flesh body has lost the electron because it's only one that is on the shell. So it's not stable, so it has to lose it. And when it loses it, it does not become stable because it becomes an ion, right? A cation, because it becomes sodium positive. It has a positive sign on it because it has lost one electron. Okay, it needs one electron to make a sodium atom element itself, right? So now, even when we see of the 20 electrons, the eight group is always complete, all the shells on them. But one thing about it is volatile. It is not stable, right? And that's to tell us that in a solid state, we are never stable. Even if we have 8 complete, we are never still stable, because there's also a question of why are we solid? The solid state is not right. So even when you're whole of your mind in the stable state, you cannot stay stable. You cannot stay solid. You have to return back to the gaseous state, and that's why you become volatile. You have to go back. I tell you, it's amazing how our ancestors, our seniors were able to make this chemistry and physics. It was not only for career, it was not only to become having career of wealth. Okay, wealth is beautiful, but of the mind to realize, hey, Why is there something that we don't understand? That if you don't believe in a God, you can have this to work with in order to peacefully still the storm back to your origin of knowing God. Okay, God speaks in mysterious ways. God speaks even through elements. God speaks through what is a word? Okay, God speaks through everything. Hallelujah. I'm sorry saying hallelujah. I'm a Christian, but I'm also among African spiritualists. Okay. I also believe in African spiritualities. I believe in all religions. Okay. Only of peace still in the storm, back to peace that have no storm. Because of all of us, there is a side that is disorientated that we're trying to heal. Okay. So we believe in us all by trying to edify the side that is a difficult side. Okay, there's a complicated ride. We're trying to edify that back to worthy. I hope we understand. Of known is condemned. We all can return back to the right state of the gaseous state of more power. And the greatest power of an element, of an atom, is in the innermost shell. And that's why the two electrons are so tight and they never part. Okay. So if you have to lose an electron, it can only be all of the outermost. And that's the solid state, right? The liquid state comes after. Okay. But now this innermost is the most powerful. And that's where we have the most powerful disorientation. Okay. If you're coming from the solid state going back up. Okay, and why would this be more powerful of a disorientation is because they are facing those that are most powerful. Okay, they are trying to become back of worthy. They don't know who they are, so there's arrogant pride, and and there's low self-esteem. Okay, and the arrogant pride is towards those of below that are disorientated. That's where they become of arrogant pride. But without these two, they are only of low self-esteem facing those that are worthy. And that's why we begin of low self-esteem. Okay. And then the low self-esteem bring us down, okay, down to a place of liquid. And then if we haven't found ourselves, we keep on looking up and then getting more low self-esteem and getting back down. Okay, and then getting back down, we are trying to go back up, and then of some here trying to go back up and trying to go back up with arrogant pride. Okay, that we don't belong down here. I want to come back up here. This is where I belong. And so they're coming back up with arrogant pride. And so the arrogant pride now going back up, they're also trying to also look at those trying to come up after them, like, don't you dare. You know what I mean? Don't you try to overcome me. And arrogant pride going on those that are trying to come up with arrogant pride. So they both are fighting. So it's an it's an interconnect, it's like an inter struggle. Okay, it's an inter struggle of if you get to understand. Okay, if we get to understand this, you really see where our struggle is and why are we down here of a solid state. Why are we humans? Okay, without looking at the Bible or without looking at any religion, the answer of why are we humans. If you're a scientist or someone who doesn't believe in all of any spirituality or gods out here, you just believe only in being human. Why are we humans and where are we from? We begin to understand, even following the chemistries that gives us career, the physics. We can bring up, there is so much that physics even able to enable us to know that there's light, and out of light you have the rainbow, which are the three primary colors among blue, red, and yellow. I'm sorry, the other video I said green, red, and yellow. I'm so sorry. Well, we know the mind is a struggle in the physical state, but we all get to correct ourselves, and that's peace still in the storm. That the colors is blue, red, and yellow, and that the three of them intersect to make black. And then we see that black and we come back of blue, red, and yellow, and then back into light, right? Rainbow can get back into light, become light. So of all of this, we begin to see how darkness came about and how we can return back to light, and light meaning what? No stumbling. We don't have to be stumbling in the dark. You know, light is beautiful and we're supposed to be able to reflect this light. We should be able to stand this light. That if we cannot stand the light, it's because we have been in the dark for too long and we have to return back to the light. You know what I mean? So it's of the mind that even of the physical dark you see should be able to reflect you that of the mind, that hey, if I can see black, it means that my mind is black. So I really gotta get out of this physical. But how will you get out? It's only by reorientating yourself of who you are, of peace still in the storm. That if you have to rip yourself if you get out, it means that you haven't gotten it. Okay, that you have to gracefully get out, knowing that the flesh also is a being also that is supporting you to heal, and that when you're healed, you if it's still there, you have to keep on practicing, and practice makes perfect. Okay, of power, practicing back to power. Of weakness, you begin like how you do your physical therapy, you do some exercise, is practice back to power. Okay, that even when you regain back yourself, the more practice you make, is more energy and strength to be able to travel the road back to peace that have no storm. I hope this has enabled us to understand a little bit of where we are going to when it comes to power. What is power to the physical? Power to the physical is instead weakness. That when we begin to understand, we begin to correct ourselves, we orientate back ourselves so that we can go back to the gaseous state where we belong, of the innermost shell, okay, and that this is more of like the heavens, and this in the middle will represent liquid, and that's the ocean, and then below represents land, and that's the solid state. Okay, the liquid always trying to take the solid back in, and then the liquid is trying to go back up to the sky, right? And how I'm trying to explain the other features why rain falls and then to the land and then returns back and then comes back. The liquid state always keep going back and forth. Some appear and disappear. Some humans, some magicians will make something appear and then disappear. It's only between this state. Some are having hard times going up here because they don't want to go face the worry and then of low self-esteem and arrogant pride up here is so difficult to deal with, because when you can see where you belong, like you can see water and you really want to drink and you can't drink it, it's a really it's really tough up here. Okay, that when you're down here, you're trying to gain yourself right. So before you see the water, you should be able to drink and not just be looking at you while you're so thirsty. Okay, peace that have no storm is the water we're looking for, in a gaseous state, and that's where we belong. I hope we've understood today. Please, okay, that we're returning back to Father. Okay, Father is peace that have no storm, the greatest of us. Okay, where we belong. Okay, so stay blessed, royalties. I'm so glad we're able to complete this today, and now we understand what power is down here, so that we clarify ourselves and we reorientate ourselves of these mental sicknesses that we're having. It's all because of our struggle of not understanding who we are and where we are going. Of peace that have no storm is power. Okay, it's not about nagging on each other. Of those even nagging, we begin to realize that, hey, arrogant pride, if I practice more down here before I reach even the liquid state, that would be great. And even if I'm in the liquid state, I'm interchanging with the physical state. If I practice of better, before I get to the gaseous state, I will be great. Even if I'm able to go to the gaseous state and come back to the liquid state and go and the physical, I have learned something of the physical, because when you're in the gaseous state, it's very hard. When you're seeing the water and you cannot get it, it really breaks you down so much. And that low self-esteem makes you gain some arrogant pride to hit on someone below. It's like, so, that anger, you don't even know that you've gained so much anger until you pour it out on someone, then you realize that, hey, so arrogant pride was really on its way. You know what I mean? So now when you seek to just, you don't want to have that side of that beauty again. You want to just come back down all the way to the solid state of low self-esteem. And then you begin to realize that, hey, you know what? I really need to be able to get in that gaseous state, and that's where I belong, of peace that have no storm. The right one, the right one. Let us heal, royalties, knowing where we are going to, of peace that have no storm. Of those here, they know that those who don't believe in afterlife know that what we are seeking for is a mind that have no storm, of no anger, of no hate. Should we begin with of no after sunset? Should we not have anger, to the point of after 2 hours no anger, 1 hour to the point of zero, knowing that we're trying to help the young to gain a better self. I hope we've understood today. Please, peace still in the storm, back to peace that has no storm. Stay blessed, royalties, of every work we do, okay, of actions that we make, of disorientation, we correct them back so we can gain back our character. Of one character is peace that have no storm. We're trying to get back home. All right. So this makes us now to end this video. I was expecting that. I was looking forward that our next video, is to understand. Let me see. Um, I think I'll be working on the next video. Okay, I'm not really sure what we should talk about on the next topic, but when I sit back and reflect of what we've gone through, of what we've talked about, I'll be able to get to know what we could talk about. Okay, so stay blessed, royalties. Thank you for joining me today, and hopefully we'll continue again on the next video. Let us edify each other. Of those that are able to come back all the way from the geisha state, we should not mock at them, but learn from them and try to enable us to return back to that state worthy. Because even all of us go there, and there's still one lacking that is still out here. We'll still be short of a whole. Okay, because we all are one. We are family. We need all back one. We're missing one, and that will not be good. So we need to return all back whole. So let's edify each other, encourage each other to heal. Let us correct this low self-esteem and arrogant pride by knowing who we are. We are the creation of the Father, peace that have no storm. We must reflect the Father of right. Okay? Some call him Brahmin. Some call him positive energy. Some call him one God. Okay? Mind. Some call him spirit. But he's greater than spirit and greater than all what we call him because he created us. We come out from this one. Okay? Let's return back and reflect our true identity. Stay blessed, royalties of peace, telling the storm back to peace that have no storm.